The Egypt air crash setting off a renewed debate on national security between the presidential candidates. So how will this weigh in on the election? Our terror panel this morning joins me now. Jillian Turner, former White House Security Council staff under President George Bush and President Obama. John Lucich, a licensed commercial pilot and former state criminal investigator. And Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research. Welcome all this morning to the show. John, I want to start with you. We heard some strong words from both presidential candidates this week, or a number of the presidential candidates this week, about this. Do you think that this will play a larger role in the campaign going forward?
Well, it's going to be, because they're going to take it as an issue, whether it's terrorism or not. Yesterday, we heard reports that there were no ACARs reporting messages coming off this airplane. Today, we are hearing these things. So as these facts keep changing, it will definitely change the type of debate. But there's no doubt in my mind that one or more of these candidates are going to use this as an issue. Because we do need stronger leadership in the Middle East. There's absolutely no leadership in the Middle East. These people are not on the run. They're gaining ground.
And Jillian, of course, we don't know yet if it was terrorism, but we see these moments of terror. We see these moments in the campaign where terrorism happens in Paris. The candidates talk about it for a little while, and then we seem to come back to the economy. Is the American public focused on foreign policy?
They definitely are in this election cycle than I've seen in the last 10 plus years, which from my perspective, those of us in the foreign policy community who care about these issues, is great news. There was a really interesting poll yesterday. It told us that Donald Trump is more trusted when it comes to fighting terrorism. Hillary Clinton is more trusted when it comes to responsibly deploying American military power abroad. And they were both sort of equally trusted when it comes to U.S. foreign policy and our projection abroad in that sense. So people are really thinking about these issues. They're applying a nuanced approach, which I think is great news. I'm really happy to see that American voters are focusing on this.
And Tony, I'm going to play a soundbite of Donald Trump. Speaking of Donald Trump that Jillian just brought up, here was Donald Trump earlier this week talking about airplane terror. Listen.
I've been looking at airplanes getting blown up in the air and lots of bad things happening. It's just not the same. And we're going to bring it back, and we're going to bring it back to a real place where we don't have to be so frightened, where we don't have to be so afraid. We're going to bring it back, and you folks are going to be so happy, and you're going to be so proud of your country again.
Tony, he's making the argument, which sounds similar to what you're making, is it all comes down to bad policy while we're seeing this resurgence in Islamic extremism around the world.
Well, as Jillian just said, look, the American people are engaged, and so the people are going to look at who created the bad policy, the current White House. Everybody recognizes that ISIS has grown exponentially. My friend Mike Flynn was warning the president about this when he was still director of DIA. So who's most responsible? Those people in power. Who's most close to the people in power? Ms. Clinton. So I think when it comes down to going through details of who gets the 3 o'clock call in the morning, well, she apparently failed when she got the call regarding Benghazi. So this is going to play out in a very bad way for her. And while Donald Trump is an unknown quantity, what he's saying, the idea of taking action and fixing the policy, doing it in an assertive way, is actually resonating very well with the American people.
Guys, I want to get your take on the airport security. We heard an announcement from the TSA. We're going to beef up more staff this summer so we don't wind up with these long lines that we saw in Chicago a few weeks ago. John, is this going to work? Are we going to be, will it make us safer, or is it just going to make us more efficient?
Well, there haven't been a lot of incidents at airports, so I believe that we have been pretty safe. I wish I could say the same about our country, from the Dal Hassan out in Texas to the guy out on the West Coast who shot and killed 2 people, then came to New Jersey and shot a young man, and then we had the guy in the Middle East who cut that woman's head off. I mean, I believe we are safe. The only thing that they're going to beef up is the fact that we have 3-hour lines to just get on an airplane, and that's just ridiculous.
And the idea, Jillian, that this sort of homegrown terrorism, can we really prevent against these sorts of things, getting on aircraft? How do we screen for that?
It's very difficult. Screening inside the United States domestically is very airtight. It's very good. The main problem from a counterterrorism perspective when it comes to aviation is that the terrorists are innovating at a much faster rate than governments are able to come up with detection and prevention measures. So it's not that the terrorists have some technological edge on us. It's that they're very good at coming up with new ways, innovative ways to conceal explosive devices. And we don't know yet if 2 days ago's attack was a terrorist attack or not, but that's really what we're facing now, is that they're very agile. New reports coming out this week about Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula developing ways to implant explosive devices inside people's bodies that they can detonate remotely. So this is a new wave.
Tony, final word on this. Are our airports secure?
No. Look, DSA is giving ISIS a great gift by creating these large queues of people. This is what we saw happen in Belgium. They're not learning from it. Look, they need to be putting people further out. TSA has done some very creative things. I was actually talking to an agent one time. She was walking through the line, talking to people, engaging them way before they get to security. They need to be doing that. We do red teaming. I was actually asked by a certain entity right here in D.C. to look at their new security profile, and I said, this is how I would go about trying to penetrate it. So we're creating our own problems.
All right. Great discussion this morning. Tony, John, Jillian, great to see you all this morning. Thanks so much.